evening, everybody. I hope you're all well. Tonight's exciting instalment of fly tying from me is another emerger pattern. You'll remember in my last video I tied my favourite pearly butt emerger. It's a killer for me, but that's not what I'm tying today. If butts aren't your thing, and especially pearly butts, then this is a very, very acceptable substitute. It is a Hares Ear Emerger, just with a little bit of a twist on the standard gold ribs hare's ear, but nonetheless it's effectively a Hares Ear Emerger. Super simple to tie, effectively hare's ear with some CDC. You'll see I've started off already in the vise. That's basically to save you having to watch me fight with 5 or 6 different CDC feathers, tie them in, realise they're not lined up properly, take them off, tie them in again, muck it all up and so on and so forth. So saving you a bit of time here. In the vise I have a Togens Wet Fly size 10, and then at the top end, at the business end, I've got 5 CDC feathers. There's no hard and fast rule as to how many you need. I think that's down to the quality of your CDC, but you need a good bushy shuttlecock here. And I've tied that down to where I've crushed the barb. And again, thread colour is your choice. I like brown. You don't have to have brown if you don't want to. Tail of the fly, Hares Mask. Body of the fly, Vicuna dubbing, and I'm going that one, which is the Hares Ear sub, although you can blend it as you wish. The rib is going to be Togens Chirony skin in wine. I absolutely love this colour. It adds a bit of twinkle, but it's very, very understated, so it's not in your face. The thorax cover, cock pheasant tail. The thorax is going to be some more Vicuna dubbing, but I've just mixed a tiny pinch of the fur from the ear of that Hares Mask skin just to add some extra spikiness. And that's about it, I think. So without too much more mucking about, let's get on with it. As I say, tied in the CDC. You can do this first or you can do this after you've done the body. It doesn't really matter. But now we're going to snip some materials off the Hares Mask to tie in as the tail. And again, you can make your tail as big or as small as you like. I'm making mine roughly that size, and be sure to strip out the fur at the bottom. First of all, it creates a horribly unsightly lump, and even though we're dubbing the body here, you don't want that lump. It's not good. And it also affects the integrity of the tie. It means, you know, if you're tying in on that soft under fur as opposed to the slightly spikier fur, it's more likely to slip out. And then effectively just line up the tips as best you can with your fingers, and we're good to tie in. I like short tails on my hare's ears. Again, as I've said with all of my videos really, it's down to you. You've got to fish this. So you need to have confidence in it. If you don't like short tails, tie it in longer. If you don't like long tails, tie it in shorter. Despite what you might read or you might be told, there's no rules on this. It is literally tie it in so that you can fish it. There we go, I am happy with that. And then once you've done that, tie in the rib. And this Chirony skin is quite thin, so it's going to be quite a few turns, but it adds the rib and, as I say, a little bit of sparkle without being in your face. And then just slide that into the materials clip, snip off the excess. And because we're dubbing the body, you don't need to be exact with that snip off. It doesn't need to cover the body or anything like that, because dubbing covers 1,000 sins. So let's get on and dub the body. So just going to get that dubbing onto the thread. It needs to be a fairly slender noodle, certainly to start with. You want quite a nice carrot shape to this fly, if you can get it. Again, probably just me being a bit picky on how I like my flies, but nonetheless, I like a nice carrot shape to mine. And once you've got a noodle that you're happy with, and bearing in mind less is more when it comes to dubbing, you can always come back, start wrapping up. After every couple of wraps, just give the material a tighten, and just make sure you're covering where you want to, but leave plenty of room because we've got a bulky thorax to tie in, and with that bulky thorax goes the pheasant tail hare's ear. Pheasant tail hare's ear, what am I talking about? The pheasant tail thorax cover, and you want about 2/3 body, 1/3 thorax. So I literally need maybe another turn or two there. Let's see how easy this Vicuna hare's ear sub dubs. It's wonderful stuff. That is exactly what I want, and actually here the excess dubbing is good because it's going to give me a little bit of that carrot shape. And then pull everything back, quick turn in front, and there's your body. Now for the rib, a top tip for you here: if you've got a rotary vise, just tilt the hook either towards you is easier, because it means you're less likely to catch things on the point of the hook. You're not, you're not dodging the hook and the thread, you're dodging one then the other. And then, as I say, nice even spaces, rib the fly. Looks like I'm going to get three and a bit. And hare's ear sub is slippery when you're using tinsel. To be fair, it's probably the tinsel that's slippery, not the sub. But be careful, because your tinsel will slip off any lumps and bumps in the hare's ear sub, and your rib will look a bit funky, and nobody likes a funky rib. So that's the body done and ribbed. Next up, thorax cover, and I've always struggled with pheasant tail thorax covers. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a big fat mental block I've got. I never ever take enough pheasant tail fibres. So I've taken a good old pinch, probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 I'd have thought, and you want to tie it in with the dull side facing up, because when you pull it forwards, the shiny side will then be facing up. It took me years to figure that out. Blows my mind. Make sure it's bang on top. There we go. A couple of wraps just to secure it so you can position it how you like. Try not to completely ruin your shuttlecock. And again, once you're happy with it, bind it down. See, those are rolling round with the thread turns. Just give them a twizzle with your finger and they'll come back up again. And you do a few more thread wraps and they roll back round again. Almost as disobedient as children. And then when you're happy, you can snip off the ends. The easiest way to do that is slide the dubbing needle or the point of your scissors in behind the shuttlecock. That way you can pluck the pheasant tail, get that in position without actually snipping any of your CDC. There we go, all gone. Tidy up a bit, just to secure. Right, we're nearly there. I'll be sure, now that the thorax cover's tied in, to snip off the curlies on the end of the pheasant tail, because what you want is that to lay nice and flat over the top of the thorax, and it won't do that if the curlies are all tangled up. So you want to, I'm just giving it a brush with a dubbing brush just to flatten this out. But what we want now is some more of that dubbing. Again, less is more. We want a big, fat, bulky thorax here, but we don't want a great big clump of dubbing right in the middle. You want the way I like to tie it, and the way I would recommend you tying it, but you don't have to, is get a nice thin noodle, work your way along, work your way back. Be sure to go one turn back into the fly, just to hide the join between the thorax cover and the body, and then keep adding. You can see how little I'm adding each time. Thin dubbing noodle, over and over and over. Leave a little bit of room at the front because we need to tie off the thorax cover. A bit more, not fat enough yet. So if you don't like your butts, have a big fat thorax instead. Perfect. Okay, right. So not much left to do. We're going to pull that thorax cover forwards. We're going to make sure a loose wrap over the top just to position it. You can see exactly what's happened there, can't you? That pheasant tail's gone straight into that shuttlecock, which is jolly annoying. But I think I've rescued it. There we go. Right. Snip off your pheasant tail as close as you dare. Right. A couple of tight turns. Now you need a really, really thin noodle, because we're going over the tie-in point of the thorax cover and then in front of the shuttlecock to kick it up a bit. So it can't all be on one plane. So and then pick that up, a couple of wraps front of the eye like that, sticks up nicely. Tilt your vise in case the thread decides to slip off the front, because that's the trouble with straight shanked hooks. And then 1, 2, 3. Again, I'm wedging those right up against the CDC, and then we go again. If you want to use varnish, you can. I tend not to. I find that 2 whip finishes never come undone on me. Those eagle-eyed amongst you will notice I did one more that time than the first time. Seat the knot, snip the excess, fiddle with your fly till you're happy with it. Give it a brush if you want. Quite like to give the thorax a bit of a... There we go. Give the image of legs. And that's it. So as you can see, what is that? The thing is still in the tail. Get rid of that before I fish it. Okay, so that's it. Hares Ear Emerger, done. You've got the lovely understated wine rib thorax cover that you can put UV resin on or not as you see fit. Fish this absolutely static, let the wind push it round. It imitates a variety of insects. It's not an imitation of one in particular. What I would recommend is just licking your forefinger and thumb and squeezing the body so that it gets some moisture and pierces the surface film. Instead of waiting for it to get wet, just force it through the surface film so that just the shuttlecock is showing, but the takes are gentle, and just lift your rod and you're in. Let me know how you get on. Pick your colours, pick your hare's ear sub from Vicuna, there's lots of different options available. Pick your Chirony skin from Togens, again, loads of colours available, amazing material. And I will see you next time. Find me on Instagram, let me know how it fishes. Tight lines everyone, thank you.